that West Virginia has a unique opportunity to rise up in the economic rankings, make some really big decisions. We also have some tough challenges ahead, but all of us are ready to accept that challenge and do very big things for the state. So we wanted to pull you together to say that, and I'll turn it over to the Speaker and the Senate President if you have any comments you'd like to make.
Sure. Governor, thank you. Folks, the governor's points are absolutely correct on the path, putting as many West Virginians as possible into good-paying 21st century jobs to give them the capacity to make the best decisions for them and their families. We know that a lot of the important work that's necessary to make that happen has been done over the course of the past 10 years, and we know that what lies ahead of us now are grand challenges, big things that require city governments to work together to solve problems in a way that perhaps we haven't thought about before. So as we think about what awaits us in the upcoming 60-day session, sometimes that may be bills that we send to the governor's desk for signature. Sometimes it may be changes to administrative policy that we'll work with the governor and his team to implement. Sometimes it may be reallocation of funding priorities. We're going to be about solving problems this year, though, rather than just focusing on numbers of bills passed. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. I want to echo the comments by Mr. Speaker and the governor. It's refreshing that we have a governor now who just bring us together so we can go over the issues that's important to the Senate and to the House and to the people of West Virginia and the governor, and come up with a plan to move this forward and move the state forward. These meetings are great because now I can go back to my caucus, to the Senate caucus, and relay to them what the governor's priorities are and how they line up with our priorities, which meeting today, a lot of it is we're on the same plane with things that are important to us to move West Virginia forward. And, you know, he's made a commitment today that he is going to meet with the Speaker and I regularly so we can, you know, address issues that are important to both bodies and to the governor. And this is how government is supposed to work. This is a good first step. I'm very encouraged after today's meeting that this is going to be a great session because we've got our share of problems to solve, but we're all on the same page with these issues. And I look forward to working with the Speaker and the governor going forward to make the state of West Virginia as great as what we can make it, and to address the issues that's important to the citizens or our constituents in our district. So I want to thank the governor for the meeting today, and it's always good to be with the Speaker. So there's great things ahead for West Virginia, I believe. So thank you.
Great. I just wanted to echo one more point. I think the Speaker and the Senate President are 1,000% on board of doing everything imaginable to lift our state up and to make sure that we're creating the best environment to attract new jobs to our state. Last few weeks, you've heard me talk a little bit about some of the budget challenges. Today, I want to emphasize that if we get the growth part of the equation right, and we can become that shining state in the mountains economically by having a better regulatory structure, by having a more aggressive pro-jobs agenda, by having even more competitive tax rates, by doing the things that everyone's going to know around the country, West Virginia is the place where it's at. I think that that's going to lead to incredible, great outcomes for the citizens of our state. So we're in the process now of really developing that agenda. I want to thank you all for coming here, and I think we have time for just a couple questions. Katie.
That we're looking at right now. How are you all, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, talking to your caucuses and preparing for what might have to be a pretty fiscally conservative, and, you know, don't want to use the word clawback, I don't think that's right, but how are you all approaching talking to your members about potentially having spending cuts, and where and how are those going to be targeted this year?
I'll start. Our priority, Katie, always has been making sure that we were utilizing as much money as possible in an environment of surplus. toward one-time expenditures, toward things that were poised to grow the overall economy of the state, things like infrastructure, things like addressing deferred maintenance on our fixed assets. And if we're in an environment now in which we can't devote as many resources toward infrastructure and fixed assets, then that doesn't take away from the programmatic expenditures that West Virginians would experience in the course of their daily lives. So it's a prioritization equation for us. So as we think about what the calculus of moving the overall economic trajectory of West Virginia looks like, we want to continue to invest in our fixed assets and our infrastructure, which has a return on investment to the fullest extent we can, knowing that sometimes we won't be able to do it to the extent that we'd like.
I'm going to say this isn't a new challenge to us because, several years ago we had a budget deficit, and we came together and corrected that problem, and this will be the way it is handled this time around. We're early in the process. I still have, I'm going to end up, but we have a lot of members that are not familiar with the process on the Senate side. The ones that are, and our finance chair and all them are, they're working on this, getting, ahead of the process, so to speak. But as we go forward, the closer we get to session, and we'll have more conversations, and we'll be able to give them more information exactly, what we're going to be dealing with. And with that, after we have all the information, because I know the governor's working every day, long hours on the budget, and has access to a lot of legislature. So, but I'm keeping my members as informed as much as what I'm able to do with the information I have. And like I said, there's so many new members that don't know the process or new to it. So it's going to be a working process between now and when we go to session. And then when we get to session, we'll have the more information after the governor's state of the state, and we'll be able to hit the ground running and help the governor.
Has been an issue sometimes before between the legislative and executive branches. So obviously you've had a meeting during transition, you've had this meeting here today, you're talking about meetings leading up to session, and of course during session, communication is going to be key between both bodies. Do you see both that the executive wants, but also legislation that you want to be bringing down standards?
Yes, I think I said before, that's a breath of fresh air, the communications that we have now with the governor and with the speaker. We're all friends, and we communicate often, and I don't think it'll be the problems where we've had in the past, where we're blindsided with stuff that we didn't know was coming. Find out a lot of our information we found out from the press is how I found out a lot of information in the past, and I think them days are gone. This governor is very transparent, and he wants to work with us, and he needs our help, we need his help, and it's going to take our two bodies and the governor's office to solve these problems. And I feel confident that we have the communication, help each other, and solve the budget problem.
Last question.
Keelan Bailey, West Virginia Public Broadcasting. There's now a new petition in the state Supreme Court.
I'm sorry, there's a what?
A new petition in the
Okay.
state Supreme Court regarding the 91st House District. Could you just comment on how this process of filling that seat has gone, and if residents of that district should expect this issue to be resolved by the time of session?
Well, I know that there's been new litigation that's been filed, so we're proceeding. I made the pick. I feel comfortable in all the legal information and the background that we all made the correct decision. And I think this case is now evolving, and we'll let the judicial process work its way through to make a decision. So, but I feel very good that the process that was taken is correct. Anything else? Last time? I'll give you one more because I didn't recognize you. Go ahead, ma'am.
I'm Kelly, 13 News. Is there any comment on the White House rescinding the order to freeze federal funding?
Now, look, I mentioned this yesterday. We're unpacking a lot of the information that came out, And now that that's in the court system, I don't think that's a relevant issue for today. But we're going to look at all of these different initiatives, and we're always going to put West Virginia first. One thing that's exciting to me about working with the Speaker, working with the Senate President, is I view the next few years as an opportunity for a great team to come together. Spent a lot of time over the last few months focusing on how we could get wonderful cabinet officials to come in, leaders, people that could be change agents to make sure that we're going to be able to lift our state up to a whole new level. And then having the opportunity to communicate regularly and work with the Speaker, the Senate President, and those bodies. I think that we have a chance to do something that you haven't seen before, to start to demonstrate these are develop metrics and then measure how we ultimately move up from 48, 49, 50 to a much better place. So I think that the seeds are being planted right now. I think having good communication, good working relationship matters a lot. And I'm excited about the potential for partnerships that lead to more job opportunities, better educational attainment, continued protection. No, we're the place to be. So that's what's terrific about us getting together. It's part of a process, and I think it's going to be an exciting next few months. Thank you.